If you're on low calories and not only not losing weight, but actually gaining weight, I know how incredibly frustrating that can be. Trust me, you're not alone with this struggle, and there's a number of reasons this can happen. So today I'm going to explain why it's happening and what you can do to finally start seeing results. Hey, this is Colin DeWaay. So if you've always struggled with losing weight, or if you've always lost weight only to end up gaining it back, this is what I want to help you with. So make sure you subscribe and click on that bell notification so I can help you get where you want to be. So the first thing I want to address is something people call starvation mode. Maybe you've heard of this before, where basically it's stated that because you're on such low calories and your body's worried about actually starving to death, that what it does is it takes anything you eat and it stores it as body fat. So the good news is, that's not true. It doesn't work that way, but the bad news is that doesn't mean that your body doesn't guard against low calories, and especially if you've done extreme methods of dieting, all these crash diets and super low calories, yes, it's gonna make it much harder to lose and your metabolism is gonna tank. You'll see plenty of alterations to your hormones, and it's a miserable experience. So if this has been the case for you, don't worry, it doesn't mean you're doomed and can't lose, and I'll explain what you need to do at the end of this video. But first, I wanna address the biggest, most likely reason you're gaining weight on low calories. Let's say, for instance, you're eating 1,000 calories a day. What would happen is you would lose probably pretty quickly at first until your body adapts. That now becomes your new maintenance calories. You don't just start gaining on it, you just stay the same. But what ends up happening is you get frustrated because you're on these low calories and you can't see results. So you say, screw it, might as well do whatever I want, end up overeating big time with your metabolism already slow from the dieting, and now you gain weight quickly. So it's the overeating while undereating is the problem. Maybe it's cheat meals during the weekend that you're not accounting for. Maybe you're being very loose with your tracking, or even if you're not tracking, maybe you're just being very loose with how you eyeball portion sizes and not accounting for extra things that you're eating. And this is no shot at you, this is just very common. Humans just aren't very good at accurately accounting for intake. What's important to remember is it's not your target calories or your target diet that matters, it's your actual consumed calories, whether you're accounting for that or not. So if this is something you're struggling with, the best thing you can do right now is to take a week or two and really get things dialed in and just see what it looks like. Be as accurate as possible. I am not for perfection. I think perfection is the enemy. The more you try to be perfect, the more likely you are to fail and get frustrated and fall into the all or nothing mentality, which is a killer. But for just a week or two, no big deal. So start measuring everything you eat on a food scale. Make sure you're not taking any extra bites that you're not accounting for. Prepare all your own food and don't go out to eat. Again, I'm not saying you can't go out to eat, but right now, just for this small period, let's get an accurate assessment of what things look like. And if you go through all this and boom, you start losing, now you have an answer as to why. If you at least stop gaining, you know your rough maintenance, and if you continue to gain, well, now you know you're actually in a surplus, regardless if you think it's low calories or not. But don't go anywhere, because it's not just diet that can cause weight gain on lower calories. But before I get into that, I want to give you some signs that you need to look for to know your body is in a bad place with this metabolism, and you probably need to stop any kind of dieting. So that would be things like constant extreme hunger and food focus, always being extremely exhausted, very low libido, being cold all the time, brittle hair and nails, finding yourself overly agitated much more than usual, and if you're a female, loss of period. So if you're having many of these symptoms, chances are you're in a bad place and it's time to start working on improving your metabolism. Again, I'll talk about that at the end, but we want to look at more than just your nutrition, because something that's often overlooked is your activity levels. And I'm not just referring to your exercise. It's also your everyday movements. How many steps are you taking? Maybe you're extremely tired because of the low calories and all the exercise you're doing, so now you're moving around a lot less without necessarily even realizing it. So if you're taking a few thousand steps less every day, now you're expending much less calories, and you actually tend to expend more calories through activity of daily life than you do exercise. And it's not just steps either. It's everything. It's moving around. It's what I move my hands around as I talk to you and everything else. All these things matter. And when you get extremely exhausted, you just move less. So one thing you can do, even if you're not tracking steps, most phones now kind of track without you even realizing it. And you can probably go and find the app that does this and just look at your trends over time. Are you averaging much less steps than you were before? Take a look back for the last few months and just see what things look like, and that could give you some answers. Another thing that that could be possible is if you start strength training, you're gonna be building some muscle. And strength training is the best thing you can do for yourself when it comes to changing your body. Do not be scared of this, ladies. It is so powerful, but muscle has weight. If you add muscle, you add weight to your frame. And it's entirely possible you could even gain weight, but have less body fat and have a better body composition because of this. So you don't want to get too tied up in the scale. Remember, scale weight and body fat aren't the same. You want to make sure you're paying attention to other things like your clothes fitting, looking at pictures, looking at things like your waist measurement, things like that that can give you more feedback than just a scale. Now, all that being said, what if your nutrition's spot on? What if your activity levels haven't changed and you're still seeing this problem? What can you do? Well, the first thing I would do, if you haven't been taking any diet breaks, that's what I would do now. Take at least a 2-week diet break, bring your calories up by a few hundred, reduce your cardio by about half, including your steps, and just give your body a break. This is a neglected step that a lot of people don't take, and it runs your body into the ground. You need to give your body a reason to let its guard down and stop protecting against fat loss, thinking that your calories are too low. And sometimes just taking that break and coming back, you can start seeing progress again. But if you do that and still nothing's happening and you're being consistent, now it's time to work on getting your metabolism back up again where it should be so you can start seeing results. And you do this with a process called reverse dieting. This is where you gradually increase your calories over time to allow your metabolism to start speeding back up and getting used to these higher calories so that down the road, you can now cut your calories again and start seeing results. But there's a lot you need to consider, and how you go through the process can vary, and I don't want to make that part of this video. So if this is your problem and you're worried you have a slow metabolism, then make sure you check out this top video next. Otherwise, I think you'll find this bottom video helpful instead, and I'll see you in one of those other videos.